Most people think waiting until your 30s to have kids is the financially responsible choice. And in a lot of ways, it is. You're more established. You've paid down debt. You probably earn more than you did at 25. But there's one thing the responsible timing argument misses completely. If you have your first child at 35, your child starts college the year you turn 53. That's the same year your financial advisor says you need to be in your final, aggressive retirement push. Two of the biggest financial obligations in American life, college and retirement, hit at the exact same time. And the later you wait, the worse the collision gets. Here's why this matters beyond the math. Most people think of having kids as an expense you manage when they're young. Diapers, daycare, school supplies. But the real financial squeeze doesn't come in year 1 or year 5. It comes in year 18. That's when the bill for waiting arrives. If you had your child at 35, you're 53 when they start college. If you had them at 38, you're 56. Financial planners are almost universal on this point. The years between 50 and 65 are when retirement savings compound the fastest. They're the decade you can least afford to redirect tens of thousands of dollars somewhere else. But that's exactly what college asks you to do. Here's what most financial planning misses. We talk about college costs as a future problem and retirement costs as a separate future problem. But for parents who had children in their mid to late 30s, they're not separate. They're the same problem, the same account, the same paycheck, the same decade. The financial planning industry built its entire model around an assumption that was true in 1970. Have kids young, get them out of the house by 40, then spend your 40s and 50s focused entirely on retirement. That model is broken for an entire generation. Because the average age of first-time mothers in the US has risen to 27, and in many urban areas, it's well past 30. The financial system hasn't updated its assumptions, but the math has. And the math reveals something that most financial advice completely glosses over. The problem isn't the total cost of raising a child. The problem is the timing of when that cost hits your retirement clock. A dollar redirected to childcare at 36 is very different from a dollar redirected to college at 53. At 36, you still have nearly 3 decades for your retirement savings to compound. At 53, you have maybe 12 years. The same dollar. Completely different financial consequences. That's the insight that makes late parenthood quietly more expensive than it looks on paper. Let me show you the mechanism in plain numbers. The USDA estimates that raising a child from birth to age 18 costs roughly $310,000 for a middle-income family. That's before college. At a public university, 4 years at roughly $30,000 a year in total cost of attendance, and you're looking at another $120,000. A private university runs closer to $250,000 for all 4 years. So the full cost of one child, from birth through a bachelor's degree, can easily exceed $430,000 to $560,000. Now here's the timing problem. Fidelity's retirement guidelines say you should have 7 to 8 times your annual salary saved by age 55. That means a household earning $100,000 a year should have $700,000 to $800,000 in retirement accounts by 55. But if you're simultaneously paying college bills from age 53 to 57, that's $120,000 to $250,000, leaving your household during the exact years those retirement accounts should be compounding at full speed. That's the collision. Not too much spending overall, just 2 massive spending obligations stacked on top of each other in the same 5-year window. Let's make this concrete with a real situation. Meet Claire. Claire is 34, lives in Denver, and works as a project manager at a tech firm. She earns $95,000 a year. She has $62,000 saved for retirement. Not bad, but below the benchmarks for her age. She and her partner have been waiting for the right time to have a child. They're stable. They own a condo. They feel ready. So at 35, Claire has her daughter. In year 1, they enroll her in a daycare center near their home. The monthly bill is $1,800. That's $21,600 a year, just for childcare. Claire is now spending 23% of her pre-tax income on one child's childcare alone. She adjusts her 401k contributions down to make it work. She drops from 12% contributions to 6%. She tells herself it's temporary. It'll ease up when her daughter starts school. It does ease up, a little. But then comes elementary school enrichment programs, summer camps, healthcare premiums on a family plan, a bigger apartment because a toddler in a one-bedroom isn't working. Her partner also takes a few months off work, unpaid, after the birth. Their combined household income dips for nearly a year. Claire's retirement contributions never fully recover to where they were before. Fast forward to Claire at 53. Her daughter is 18. College applications are in. Claire has $380,000 in her retirement account. She should have $665,000 to $760,000 by standard benchmarks for her income level. She's significantly behind. And now, for the next 4 years, she's being asked to send $30,000 to $60,000 per year toward tuition. She can't do both at full speed. She has to choose. Does she keep retirement contributions at full pace and take on Parent Plus loans? Does she fund college and delay retirement by a few years? Or does she do what most parents in her situation actually do? A little of both, ending up slightly behind on everything. There's no clean answer. That's the point. Claire's situation isn't unusual. It's the predictable outcome of a timing decision that feels responsible on the surface. And the numbers behind it have gotten worse with every passing year. In 2024, the national average cost of center-based infant care in the U.S. was $13,128 annually. That's the national average. In cities like Washington, D.C., that number exceeds $24,000 a year, more than the cost of in-state college tuition in most states. In California, Oregon, and Maryland, childcare alone eats through 16% of a married couple's combined median income. And that's for one child. Most parents who wait until their 30s don't have just one. They often have two in relatively quick succession, which means 2 years of double childcare costs before the first child starts school. Childcare. Aware of America found that in 45 states, the average annual cost of childcare for 2 children in a daycare center exceeded the average annual mortgage payment. Read that again. In most of the country, 2 kids in daycare costs more than your mortgage. For a family where both parents are 30-something professionals, that means somewhere between $25,000 and $35,000 per year, leaving the household, after taxes, for 5 to 7 years. That's the period when retirement savings should be accelerating. Instead, they stall, or they go negative. The early years squeeze the retirement account. The college years squeeze the retirement account again. The same account, hit twice, in the same career. And unlike a mortgage, childcare and tuition leave nothing behind. No equity, no asset, just 18 years of receipts and a kid who hopefully makes it. There's nothing wrong with making that choice, but it's worth understanding what it actually costs, not just in the moment, but in the timeline of your financial life. There's a second force that makes this worse, and it hits specifically at the worst possible time. It's called the motherhood penalty. When a woman has a child, her earnings don't just pause. They drop. Columbia University economists analyzed more than 800,000 earnings records spanning 2 decades. What they found was stark. On average, women see their income cut in half in the year after their first child is born. Not temporarily, persistently. 6 years after a first birth, the gap between what the mother earns and what the father earns is still wide. And it doesn't matter if the mother was the higher earner before the child arrived. It doesn't matter if she works at a woman-led company. The penalty still hits. Other research puts the lifetime earnings loss at 19% for women who take even a 5-year caregiving break. That's not a 5-year dip in income. That's a permanent reduction in lifetime savings capacity, including retirement contributions, for nearly 2 decades of working years. For a woman who waits until 35 to have a child, the motherhood penalty lands right in the middle of what would otherwise be her peak earning years. The same years she needs to be catching up on retirement savings. The penalty and the retirement gap arrive together. There's a reason this collision is worse in the United States than in most comparable countries. It comes down to 2 missing infrastructure pieces. The first is subsidized childcare. In Germany, France, and the Nordic countries, early childcare is heavily subsidized by the government. In the US, childcare is almost entirely a private market expense. And because it's a private market with high labor costs and heavy regulation, prices have risen 29% in just the 5 years between 2020 and 2024, faster than overall inflation. The second missing piece is mandatory paid parental leave. The US remains one of the only developed nations without federally mandated paid parental leave. When a child is born, one parent, usually the mother, often takes unpaid time off or cobbles together vacation days, sick leave, or short-term disability payments. That gap in income doesn't just hurt in the short term. It reduces the Social Security contributions made during those months, which reduces benefits decades later. One study found that mothers with a single child receive 16% less in Social Security benefits than childless women, all else equal. Each additional child reduces that figure by another 2%. The financial consequences of having children in the US don't stop when your child turns 18. They follow you into retirement. Here's the counterintuitive finding that most financial advice gets completely wrong. When people ask, is it better to have kids early or late? The standard answer is later, because you're more financially established. But that framing ignores the compound growth math. Having children in your late 20s is disruptive. You earn less, you save less, and childcare is brutal. But your peak earning and saving years, your late 40s and 50s, remain fully available for retirement. The disruption happens early, when compound growth has the most time to recover. Having children in your late 30s feels more controlled, but you're compressing the disruption into the exact window when compound growth matters most. A dollar not invested at age 52 is not the same as a dollar not invested at age 28. At 28, that dollar has 37 years to grow before a standard retirement at 65. At 52, it has 13. The financial cost of delayed parenthood isn't just about what you spend, it's about when you spend it and what it costs you in compounding. A 2022 Brookings Institution analysis estimated that a middle-income family having a child today faces costs that, when fully accounted for with inflation, will exceed $310,000 through age 17 alone, not including college, not including the lost investment growth on the savings redirected to childcare and education. The actual economic cost of a child, when you factor in both direct spending and the opportunity cost of diverted retirement dollars, is likely double what the headline number suggests. Most parents never see that full figure because it's invisible. It shows up not as a bill in the mail. It shows up as a retirement account balance that never quite got to where it needed to be. There is no perfect time to have children. The research is clear on that. Have them young and you face financial instability during the years that matter for early career growth. Have them late, and you face the collision. College costs and retirement deadlines stacked on top of each other in the same decade. The financial planning industry has known about this tension for years, but the advice has stayed the same. Start saving early, make a budget, and it'll work out. What that advice doesn't tell you is that the rules of the game changed. A 35-year-old parent today faces a childcare market that costs nearly what housing costs, a college tuition system that has tripled in real terms since 1980, a retirement system that requires aggressive contributions for decades to function correctly, and a motherhood penalty that arrives at peak earning years and never fully leaves. The system wasn't designed for the timeline that most modern families are actually living. The responsible delay that was supposed to make everything easier has quietly created the conditions for something harder. Not a crisis, just a very specific kind of financial pressure that arrives right on schedule and that almost nobody sees coming.